Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Lone from NightOwl Central, and we're going to be playing Hearts of Iron 4 as the German Reich. Now, this is episode 4, and here, when we look in the match, you can tell a few things right off the bat. For one, we're piercing through the Soviet Union here on the south, over in the Adriatic side, and pushing up, and what I'd want to do is to cut them off completely right here. And if we can do that, then we circle around, engulf this whole region, Poland and Blackstock. I don't even know how to say that, but yeah, the independent SSR. There we go. And just kind of take out all of these guys, and then hopefully we can reestablish the line and push out, maybe. I'm not too sure. But overall, we're gaining a shit ton of territory, and that's what matters. And then as well is that Turkey, the Turkish Empire, has actually pushed out. And it's not really Turkey. What it really is it's fucking Belgium. Belgium has pushed out. Belgium is the reason why Turkey is even there. I don't really get why Belgium is putting all of its efforts there, but hey, whatever. We have a few allied encounters here in the Italian lands. One by South Africa, and then one by... I don't even know who did this. Okay, it's probably the British Raj that did this and awakened Yugoslavia. But other than that, right now our main goal is to bump up everything, in the sense that we've put in anti-air almost everywhere. Now we just gotta wait until we pushed up a little more, and we can put some anti-air here, and then here, and here, and here. And now we have to put in as many, military factories and naval dockyards that we can. We're going to shore up with, naval bases and coastal forts, land forts when we can. We are maxing out all of our air bases, and then eventually I'll put on the radar station. I should have that already. It's way late, but the tech has been going into other areas. For example, to get tier 4 ships, we've teched all of the Air Force up into jets, and now we have to wait about 3 years until we can get the T2 jets. We've also been getting this up, and haven't really done anything here as much, but we will be teching that up. The engineering, see, it's just the basics, and then we're done with industry, so that's gone. We finished up the land doctrine, that's done. Artillery is done, except rocket artillery, which I guess I should actually tech this up. I usually wait until, around this time anyway. And we haven't gone into medium or heavy tanks, or even, getting anything in that sense either. But we are teching this up. This is pretty much all done. We don't really use the bottom side of this, but it's not really useful in my opinion. There's a few useful aspects to it, but I like my defensive setup. If I was going to be using a country that you have a little bit of time, essentially, to do like a specific, different specific regiments for defense and offense, then that'd be great. But Germany, just kind of throw everything at the defense. That's pretty much all you can do, in my mind. And then here we're almost done as well. We just need to finish up night vision, and then come down and do all the special forces. But yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, we're gonna see how this push goes, and I will let you guys know if anything interesting happens. Not much has really happened since the last time I talked to you, except that Belgium gave up this line. I think they just said fuck it and they left. I don't know I don't know, excuse me. I don't know why they're even there in the first place. But then I did a massive push right here into trying to take this area, and I made it. I made it all the way to Riga, but then they took over Wilno, the city of Wilno. And so because they took that broke up our line and also allows them to put in resources, to shuffle in resources. However, the rest of my armies are attempting to break through little bit by little bit, and hopefully this whole region right here will break up soon. But we'll see. You never know. But yeah, so right around now is the extent of the push that we were able to do against the Soviet Union. I tried to get up here, and these units right here, I mean, they're holding Riga, which we get a shit ton of factories and stuff from that. So it's good. I'm actually when I get a no, never mind. Once the new recruits pop out, then I will reinforce them in Riga, because that's a good little spot to have anyway. But that's about the extent of that we can push, because right now the Soviet Union's manpower has gone up to 2 million because they upgraded the laws. So there's nothing we can really do about that. We just kind of sit back and wait. They do not like that we have this southern area, but our men are reinforcing it, and they should be there in force in the next week or so. End of the year, and not much has happened. It's February 9th, 1948. We were able to take a little bit more land here to kind of just take over the city and the rest of this province. Other than that, we're just sitting back and waiting for now. We're building up our Air Force currently. We've got this going on. It's a lot of numbers, but essentially the green is what is we have air superiority over, and then the yellow is where it's back and forth between us and our enemies, and then red is where the enemies are. Unfortunately, the enemies have most of the front lines, but that's also because I can't compete with Russia with just the amount of airplanes they're able to pump out. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, when they want to throw something at a line, it's like thousands of planes instead of a couple of hundred. And I mean, yeah, for example, like even Britain, I mean, the English Channel is over 2,000 planes on a consistent basis, and so it's just I mean, granted, down here we have 1,500 planes because in the Mediterranean Sea it's really contested, but still, I don't have enough planes to put 2,000 on every single line. But we are building towards it. And we have been doing a number on their ships. Just, I mean, we've been wrecking convoys and actual fleets. Like, for example, we got a battle cruiser, and then a heavy cruiser, and then a bunch of airplanes. And there we go, light cruiser. Battleship. Very nice. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's good, you know. We're taking them out. We're depleting their resources, their equipment, and their manpower, which all ties in as, you know, all in one. Manpower and equipment are resources in this game, and then you use raw materials to build said equipment. Yeah. Not really much to say. I mean, Japan's kind of getting fucked, but not really. Manchukuo, they have quite a few troops left. I mean, they're still on volunteer only, and they still have between 600,000 and 700,000 manpower. So I mean, they're fine. Granted, China has way more than that, and the United States is still doing pretty well. Yeah, I mean, they're on, what, extensive conscription, same as us right now, and they have between 300,000 and 500,000. So, still doing well. Let's look at everybody, actually. So, Romania is at extensive conscription and has 355,000. Hungary is at all adults serve and have 164k. That's not good. Ooh, Bohemian Empire is at the same, all adults serve, 366,000. No bueno. Let's look where Italy's at. Italy's all adults serve, 1.6 million. Bulgaria, all adults serve, 6k. Spain is at extensive conscription and 610,000. Portugal is at scraping the barrel and is at 278,000. Belgium, scraping the barrel, they don't have anything. Lovely. Alright. Well, that's great. Netherlands. Service by requirement, and they don't have any manpower, so they need to upgrade. The Northern Sea Empire, which is Denmark, they are at all adults serve and at 10k. Norway is at extensive conscription and is at 5k. Wow, our allies don't have anything. We're the only ones that are holding the lines. Lordy. Damn. That's unfortunate. But it's okay. And also, I mean, let's try to see how much can't... Okay. No, we can't take any more land from any of our friends. Yeah. Alright. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna upgrade radar all the way down. And then start building it across all the territories. That way our ships can just be that much better, especially in these regions once we finish up all of Germany proper and France. Territories that we're not really gonna lose. But yeah. And in reality, the longer the war goes, the better it is for us in the end, because at the moment, we are still up there in the sense of that we are at extensive conscription right now. We have 700,000 manpower, and we've been kind of staying stable at that. It only goes down once our recruits pop out, and then it goes down by like 100k, 130k, and then it kind of just stays stable, and if not, increases. Only when we start attacking is when it goes down. It's pretty okay with the Air Force, because the Air Force is back and forth. You know, there's just constant fighting in the water. And so that makes you lose manpower. And also when the enemy attacks is when you lose manpower, as you can tell. Things are going down, but it stays decently steady, because we're making, I think it's 10.43k recruitable population every month. So it goes back up. You know, it goes down, then it goes back up, and it stays steady. But, and so right now in the war effort, if we look, we're at 16%. And most of that is occupation, bombing, but our casualties hasn't really gone up there yet. And so that will never stop increasing, right? And eventually, all of these guys, the more and more points via occupation and casualties that we get, the less points that everybody else will have, because of the casualties, because of the occupations. Once they've gotten to scraping the barrel to where they have no more troops left, period, granted they're going to be producing some troops in their states, but the majority of the points for that will be going to us, because we're the only country with actual men on the front line. And we will be gaining more and more territory. So, I mean, you know, like Italy, their casualties, they have 793. Well, right now they're scraping the barrel. So once their 1.5 million is done, and they're, you know, at the max they can get, which is 6 million casualties in the war, then their percentages will start going down. The longer the wars take, the less that they will actually contribute. And on top of that, if eventually the longer the wars... Oh, cool. We got our next 10 guys. You need to go down there. Everybody's looking pretty good, actually. So let's put you on patrol. Garrison. But the other thing is that in the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, it's looking like Japan's actually going to be losing. Not necessarily against the Soviet Union, but against China itself. And we have no problem with China. We actually still have the possibility to make friends with China. And so, you know, I'm just sitting back and waiting to see who wins that war. And it looks as if China, in the long term, just because, I mean, if you look at China right now, they have between 45 million, or looks like 38 million. It's fluctuating between 40 and 60 million manpower, estimated possible manpower. And they're still only at volunteer only. That's not including all of the other Chinese states. There's 4 other ones that are a part of that. So, you know, doesn't look like China's ever actually going to run out of manpower compared to Japan, where, granted, they're still okay. Them and their, you know, Japan and friends are okay. But eventually, the longer the war is going to be drawn out, the less and less equipment and manpower they're going to have. Right? And they're also at war with the Soviet Union, too. So, you know, the Soviet Union, our enemies, are going to be using up their manpower against Japan, and that's exactly what we want to happen. So if in the end Japan and friends lose and get taken out of the war, then all of their points turn around and are thrown towards us. So in the end, when there's a peace conference, we will gain it all. will be able to dictate it. But, yeah. Oh, what is this? Port strike. Yuck, 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 yuck. January 1949. Not much has happened. Actually, I don't think anything has happened. Well, nothing of note, really. We're just gaining technology, improving the Air Force. That's pretty much it. Extending the Air Force, killing off our enemies. That's about it, though. Doing pretty well with manpower. Not really losing any. We're actually building up steadily. Was it 65 or 650,000 there for a couple of months, but now that the Russians have stopped attacking for some reason, it's gone up. Also, we've been upgrading the night vision, so I think that might have something to do with it. Maybe. We are... we are getting our nuclear and radar technologies up there, so that we can implement that, and hopefully get those in place by, I'm thinking, hopefully by like 1950, and then that'll improve our Air Force quite a bit. But other than that, like I said, not much to note. So I will let you know when something interesting happens. Well, it is January 1950, and not really much has happened. What we've been doing is we've been gaining airspace again, you know, just solidifying our hold over the airspace that we do have. We've been working with the Navy a bit and putting it out, and the few things that we have done is just kind of like a little cheeky thing that I decided to do. And what it was is I decided to take some major cities, including Leningrad, and then I also took Riga, or I solidified the hold over Riga. We also took Danzig, and then I forget what city this is, Konsberg. So we took those 4 cities. Once we started to have the naval, we started messing around with the Navy, we took those cities. And that's really all that we did. And with that, that's actually helped us out with factories and also with manpower. Because we took those cities, now we own the industrial production of that region, as well as, you know, the manpower that is produced, or the major portion of the manpower that's produced in that region. And, I mean, that's really all that's happened. There's really, I mean, the UK is pretty much done. Well, actually, most everybody is pretty much done. Like, they don't have much manpower, and, I mean, Japan's they're holding off like, but at the same time, they don't have much manpower. They're doing well, but it's just eventually they're gonna get just overrun completely. However, let me look. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, even their navy's screwed. I mean, they don't really have anything at the moment. And even the U.S., they're starting to go downhill as well. They have a decent navy, and they have quite a bit of planes out, but their manpower, it's extensive conscription, and they have less than 500,000. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, our allies, the East, or the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, they're going downhill, which it's bad, but at the same time it's good, like I kind of explained beforehand. However, I wanted to kind of look at our enemies, because we didn't really do that. Sweden, it actually has some manpower, but doesn't matter because they don't have any land. So Luxembourg as well, no land. Yugoslavia, no land. All three of them have capitulated. The UK is at all adults serve, and they have less than 800,000 troops. So they're going to be dying off here really quick. And really, they have divisions out on the line, and they keep attacking, right? Our defensive lines, but their major contribution to the war effort is their air force. And once they don't, I mean, and we are actually dominating everywhere with air, at least on the Allies portion of things. Even there for a while, we did a bombing run in England, and we completely covered England with our air force. And then I took it out because we did our bombing run for like 2 months, and then I took all the planes out because they have anti-air. And so even though we were just wrecking them in the air against their own planes, I was just, it's kind of, I don't want to be losing planes to their anti-air, right? And so, yeah, but then with British Raj, it's India. They're never really going to be out of manpower. It's a lot like China. So, I mean, they're still at recruitment only, or volunteer only, and they have over 2 million. British Malaysia, or Malaya, is at scraping the barrel, and they have less than 400,000 troops, so they're going to be done here soon. Same with Free France. Free France has less than 500 or 50,000 troops they can throw into the war effort. Greece, or the Hellenic Republic, is at all adults serve, and they have less than 300k. So they're going to be out of the race here soon. Ireland is at scraping the barrel, and they're at less than 40,000 troops, so they're almost out of here as well. Australia is at all adults serve, and they're at less than 300,000 troops. Canada's dead. Chile's dead. Guatemala's dead. New Zealand is at scraping the barrel, and they have less than 15,000 troops, so they're pretty much dead. The Philippines, however, they're at extensive conscription, and they have less than 400,000 manpower on that, and so they're actually not doing too bad. However, it seems as if they are about to capitulate. I don't know why, though. It seems like just because of the Free American Empire right here. It looks like the U.S. is actually taking them over, so they should be done here soon. Then South Africa, surprisingly enough, is actually at all adults serve, and they have they're under at 1.5 million troops, but still, that's quite a bit for South Africa. They're looking, and they're also turning fascist. Huh. Okay. Well, whatever. Then the U.S., they're dead. There's nothing. The U.S. isn't even a thing anymore. The Soviet Union, however, they're at service by requirement, and they have less than 1 million troops, roughly, that they can bring to the field. It fluctuates a little bit higher, but they're just throwing them all against our lines. They just keep throwing all of their troops towards our defensive lines, and we're also wrecking them in the air now. So there's really not much they can do. Poland is still holding out pretty well. They're at all adult serve, and they have under 1.5 million active manpower. They're closer to 1.2. The independent SSR is scraping the barrel with 300,000 troops, and Mongolia is scraping the barrel with less than 15,000 troops. So while there are a decent amount of countries with, you know, a good amount of troops left, like British Raj, the Soviet Union, Poland, and the UK and South Africa, the majority of our enemies are actually dead. Like, they don't have really anything to put to the field, and so we've done quite well. Although most of our allies are actually pretty much done for. They've used up most of their population. Italy is still pretty up there with troops. They're at over 2 million, and Spain is still at extensive conscription, and they have over 500,000. So even though the majority of our allies are pretty much done for, we do have some major players in Axis, besides Germany, besides our, you know, us. So I mean, that's good. But right now we're really just waiting. I'm boosting up the technology. Our construction is going up there. We're finally starting to get the radars built in our provinces. And we've maxed out most tech. We are also creating nuclear reactors. It's a little late, but we should be dropping nukes by 1952. Hopefully by then we've conquered the UK and a few other places. At the moment, we're kind of just waiting to be able to take over more territory. And the other thing is that we don't necessarily have an unlimited amount of manpower, so in order to stay in the fight, what I've been doing is just sitting back and waiting. I mean, because if you look right now, on the Soviet front line, they are just constantly attacking us, and the same along the Polish line, and down here in Greece and in Turkey. They've just constantly been attacking us, attacking. And as you can tell as well, while I have been going through and looking at these, not as often as I should, I suppose, we have just been dominating in the air as well. As you can tell, I mean, in Russia, in these areas, not so much, just because they have a shit ton of airplanes. Actually, speaking of that, we have 1,000 out and about, so yeah, we actually might be able to start dominating in those areas. But that'll be for next episode. We've also been building up not only the fleet and our air force, but we've been building up a shit ton of light tanks. And that's because what I want to do is I want to put a light tank on all of our divisions. It'll reduce a bit of the organization just for attacking, but I don't know. I feel like having a tank in all the divisions, sort of like a defensive measure as well as to improve all of our divisions equipment-wise. I feel like it's sort of prudent. I've done that before in different matches when I really didn't have any manpower whatsoever, and I kind of wanted to conserve it, and it worked out. It worked out pretty well. The only major problem we had was that we were never able to actually have all of our divisions filled up with tanks. There's always a deficit. It was just constant. But that was also because we were pushing a lot. We were constantly at war, and we were constantly trying to take land. And so that used up a lot of equipment, and primarily tanks, actually. All the other equipment that we had was able to be sustained, but the tanks were really getting eaten up quite a bit. Okay, we didn't lose any land. But what we've also been trying to do is we've been trying to take over land right here and to try to link up with this so that we can just collapse on Poland and all that, but it hasn't worked out. And every time I do a massive attack, then it uses up like 50 to 100,000 manpower just because of the amount of divisions we have on the line and the amount of divisions we use to attack all at once. We have been able to take over small bits of land here and there, but in the greater scheme of things, not much. So we've kind of held back on that. But the one thing we've kind of been waiting for is for the Soviet Union to sort of fuck up and use up all of its troops. As it's actually doing right now, this is prime time to push forward here and link up and then just, surround and destroy them. But that'll be for next episode. I was really hoping that we were going to be able to take over Poland and link up right here, but it didn't happen. We were able to expand in the south and take over these little cities, as I said. But the major thing that we did this episode was we just boosted the air, our Air Force, our Navy, just boosted in technology, we boosted in infrastructure. I mean, it was really just a consolidation. And we did take quite a bit of land, but we really just consolidated. I mean, that's all that there was really to do. The majority of this episode, we've been at less than 500,000 troops. Well, more like less than 600,000. We're roughly between 5 and 700,000, but it was sometimes it'd peak over 600,000, and sometimes it'd be, and most of the time it was below that. But so we've just been trying to conserve our troops and to kill off as many of the enemy as possible and to dominate the airways. Again, without losing too many troops. But we've also been able to shore up all of our coastlines. The Allies did have a few beachheads that they were able to hold off for quite a long time, but we were able to take them over or overwhelm them. And we've also been building not 10 divisions consistently, but we reduced that down to 5. And that's actually more manageable with our manpower. So since we've been making 5 divisions instead of 10, our manpower has stayed above 900,000. And with the cities as well. Currently, we are recruiting, or in a monthly growth, the monthly growth in our states for recruitable population is 11.49K, so almost 11.5 thousand a month. And then our civilian population is increasing by 177.49 thousand, so roughly 177.5 thousand. And that's great. I find that that's amazing because, I mean, on a monthly basis, not only have we not been using the 11K recruitable pop, we've actually been using less than that on a monthly basis. So our manpower has been increasing quite a bit. And then on top of that, just in this episode, our recruitable pop, not only just because we took over the extra cities in Russia, but also just, you know, in general, it's increased from roughly, I think it was 9,500 every month to now 11.5 thousand. So it's increased by 2,000, our recruitable population on a monthly basis. And it's wonderful. And so, you know, it's great. And so that's the other thing that's been able to sustain us, really. And, oh, are we losing? No, that's our allies trying to push. Oh, look at that. What is this? The Dutch. Yeah, the Dutch have, what is this? They have some, shit ton of tanks. They have, what? Modern tanks, heavy tanks, light tanks. Wow. Okay. But, yeah, so we got our allies attempting to push in Russia, and I'll let them. I don't really care if our allies try to push, because, I mean, it helps us if they take over land, for one, but in the end, they're killing off our enemies' manpower, and they're using up their equipment, and so it doesn't affect us at all if our allies, waste their troops. Besides the fact that our allies are dying. Soviets are pushing on Japan. Damn. Let's look at the Soviet manpower. 17K. Alright, well. I'm going to end it right here, because this is prime time to push against the Soviets and to kick their asses. So I'm going to end it right here, and I do hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and comment what you thought, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks.